All right, welcome to our first One Life Google Hangout of the year. We are super excited to have you, and we got a rockin' guest on board with us today. He's actually all the way across the world, and we're grateful to have him on board. If you were at our last conference, you got to just feel the electricity when you get around this guy. He is full of energy. More importantly, his heart is bigger than life itself, and he is going to be dropping some amazing tricks and tips around simplification today. But I just wanted to wish all of you, our One Life community, a very happy new year. Hopefully everybody's goals are off to a great start, and you guys are really feeling the momentum as you kickstart the year. Wanted to do a few little housekeeping items before we do jump in. We have the One Life Fully Lived East Coast Conference in Philadelphia. It'll be our second year doing that here, and that is on May 21st and 22nd. So if you have not signed up and registered, you can find all the information on our website, onelifefullylived.org, or you can get more information on our One Life community on Facebook. Wanted to make a quick little note here that this is actually going to be our last Google Hangout for a while. So I've been told I have a face for radio, so I'm going to do you all the benefit, and we'll be shifting to podcasts, so you guys don't have to look at my mug anymore. But we will be launching the podcast here pretty soon. We actually have an amazing lineup for the people that are going to be joining us and really sharing content. I'm sure you've seen over the last 12 months we've really gained some momentum with amazing guests who are just really bringing some awesome value to the community. So we're going to be sending out some information on that. Keep an eye out for it. We'll into our guest today, and I want to welcome everybody from around the globe. In Sujit's area, we got some early risers with us. It's 7 a.m. your time, Sujit?
Yeah, it's 7 a.m. our time, and people have risen up, and they're excited about it.
Awesome. So we got some early risers with us, starting their day off with the brilliant Sujit, who, if you don't know this guy, it'd probably take me about an hour to give you a formal introduction of all his successes and the amazing things that he's doing around the world. But first and foremost, he's an entrepreneur, and he has built up some amazing companies in the spaces of technology, training, travel, startups. He's very tied in with some global causes and has really impacted a significant amount of people. And in the short time that I've got to build a friendship with him, he's impacted my life in a very significant way. He's a great leader, and we're going to be jumping into some topic that I know a lot of people are very interested in, especially with this world of connectivity, all of the busyness and distractions that we have going on nowadays, is really finding a way to simplify life. And that's something that Sujit has really leveraged and I could say mastered on many fronts. So welcome, Sujit. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Matt. I mean, it's a lovely introduction. I mean, I'm not sure if you've given 45 more minutes more. I think you would have done a lot of intro for me.
Well, I'm grateful to have you here. The One Life community is grateful to have you here, and it's been awesome to see a little bit more into your world and what you're doing on many different fronts. But one of the things that I want to dive into right away is, you wrote a book called Life Simplified, and that's really the topic that we're focusing on today, is really simplifying life. And we all know that our lives can get hectic. We all have lots of commitments and responsibilities to keep up with, but a lot of the times when our plates get full, this is where overwhelm starts to kind of kick in, and that's when productivity goes down. So tell me a little bit about the reason why you chose to write the book Life Simplified.
I think, Matt, I think you started off really well saying that, when a lot of us kind of move towards achieving successes. Before I start off, hello to everyone from all over the world, I mean, it's overwhelming to see everybody in this part of the world rise up quite early, and for the rest of the world, join in for this hangout and give us a little bit of a year. But now, when I first wrote this book, Life Simplified, I was actually at the crossroads of my life where I was quite overwhelmed myself, right? I mean, family, relationships, businesses, a huge blank screen, generally the way life is, where you could paint just anything you wanted, the art that you want to make, the story that you want to create out of your own life, the significant impact that you want to make, which will last beyond the time you will last on this planet. And all of those things were kind of, giving me jitters and left me overwhelming. Um, and I had to make a choice of what I'm going to do with my life. So I was struggling with questions like what would that essential factor be that I would chase in my life? Would be so much of growth, so much of money, and so much of glory, so much of popularity. Would I chase those things, or would I chase nirvana? Or would I chase what would it be that I would be really looking out for? And I'm an ardent lover of physics, by the way. So I had to make a choice. So would I be chasing my goals with physics first, or would I be doing my businesses first, or would I be starting off with my social projects because I was so connected with the community development services that I always wanted to do. I wanted to make an impact in the world. I wanted to help the poor people. I wanted to help the needy. I wanted to help anyone just about out there who needed, a helping hand to progress. So with all of these things overwhelming me, questions kind of eating up my mind, and everything looking so confusing, and there's too much information out there. I decided, let me simplify my life. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to just put down what the purpose of life is in the simplest of the forms possible. And as I researched deeper, and as I went deeper, meeting a lot of people, traveling a lot of places, I went around. I was at One Young World Conference in Zurich, Switzerland in 2011. Before that, I did a lot of travel around my country. I was a part of a few, marketing projects, and I did a lot of research out there, meeting a lot of people. And I understood that no matter whom you meet around the world, and no matter what you observe in nature, even if you had to see a seed, the way it's planted, and then it blooms up, and then it grows as a big full-fledged tree that bears fruits, you're going to see that it's going to have a point in time when it's going to perish. Right? We humans are born eventually to perish, right? But the
Right.
journey between being born and perishing is about growth. And that's what I observed. When I saw my nails every week when I had to cut them, and I found them growing week after week, when I saw my hair growing every week and I had to cut it out, and when I saw the universe expanding, and when I saw, nature, when I saw people, when I saw humans, when I saw animals, when I saw creatures, I just summarized that all of it is speaking something to me, and it's speaking that the true purpose of life is growth. And that's what I nailed down to. And I decided, no matter what I do, the moment I start something, my first purpose is going to be growth, and tremendous growth. There is a particular threshold speed at which universe is expanding. If it was slower than this, it would crush into a tiny mass. And if it were faster than that, it would have gone far out by now. So there is a threshold for everything to grow. So I knew I had to spot that threshold for my businesses, for my activities, for my self-development. But I knew one thing: no matter what I step into, no matter where I go, no matter what relation I kick in, no matter where I jump, I know growth is the bottom line. But I also knew one thing, that I had to tell myself I have to let go a lot of things. Why? Because nature taught me everything that starts is one day going to perish. Right? It's going to perish. It's going to perish. So I was much before built into my own, I kind of built into my system that everything that starts may not last for an eternity. Rather nothing will. It's all temporary. It's all around for some time. So some of them will have really long life, in my duration of life, and some things will just last very short. Like this hangout, no matter how much you and I would want it to last for hours, it's going to last for 30, 40 minutes only. I mean, we would want it to last for hours or
I
years,
thought we were
maybe.
going for 5 hours tonight.
And just the way One Life Fully Lived conference that happened in Sacramento last time, I wished it went on for the rest of the year, but it doesn't happen. It's going to
Right.
last for some time. So I knew growth, was the key to understand that anything you step into, that's what you chase. The other thing is, if that's not happening, then that should be the indication that it has either perished, or it should perish, or it should be given a thought to. The second thing I understood when I moved around with respect to humans, that's nature aside, we all chase something. I mean, we all chase a milestone, but at the end of the milestone, two things become most important: the journey and the joy. So I knew the joy at the end of achieving a milestone is the purpose of our life. We all chase that. I mean, when you have a successful hangout today, you know you've crushed it. And that joy, that moment, that happiness, that we've done it. We've inspired more lives around the globe. So I knew I nailed down my purpose to growth and happiness. And that's how I simplified my life. So if you really see anything that I do, I know there needs to be a lot of growth. But the moment I see it's gone below a threshold, which intuitively we humans are born with understanding. We only keep denying that we don't understand the threshold. How do we spot the threshold? How do I understand what I'm passionate about? And so on and so forth. But I think, of course, I tried my best to answer all of these questions in my book, Life Simplified. But then more do I do justice on this hangout by just sharing that all of us intuitively have the power to know when we are not at the threshold speed of the growth where we want, or we are not around that, or when we're about to get desperate, or when we are not determined, or when we are feeling down and lazy. We all know that, and we just need to spot that and tune ourselves into growth and happiness. That's the bottom line purpose of life. So if you're happy, you're going to be successful all the time. And if you're happy, you're going to keep growing. So that's what brought me to write this book, Life Simplified, because I simplified my life. I brought down perspectives completely. So if somebody asked me, how do you start a business? I brought it down to a very simplified level, which I'm going to speak about in a few minutes. If somebody asked me, what is the purpose of life? I brought it down to growth. What are the biggest things, challenges in life? I brought it down to two things: letting go and saying, let's go. This morning when I had to wake up and say, let's go for the hangout, yeah, quite tough considering I was ill on my health and I slept quite late, but I knew let's go. I knew, my last business, which I did about 5 years ago, I had to let go a huge number of people whom I really loved and cared for. But it's about letting go and saying let's go. So I summarized everything to very simplified perspectives, at least how much I had learned then, and I see them bearing fruits world over. I mean, I never saw those philosophies get defeated no matter where I traveled in the world, and that's what gave me confidence that life is truly simplified with simpler perspectives, Matt. So that's
I love it.
what brought me to write the book.
Well, and it looks like you've really narrowed down on what these core pillars are for you in the simplification process, and
Right.
everything changes when we give ourselves permission to be more selective on what we choose to do and spend our time on. This
True.
really helps us unlock the next level of freedom and achievement in our lives when we get rid of the noise and focus
Very
on
true.
the things that bring us to true joy in our passion zones.
Right.
So, a choice is not a thing. A choice is an action. And it's
Very
not
true.
something we have, it's what we do. So
Right.
those are perfect examples of what you've kind of mastered along your journey, and I love that you shared that in your book. So, I know that there are millions of people all around the world that have ideas. Just something pops off on their head, and they want to turn this into reality. And give us, some kind of simplified idea of how they can take an approach to making this happen and tangible.
Wow. Wow. I think, this is one of the most prominent things I'm asked world over when I travel, So I have an idea and I want to really kick it. I have an idea. I want to start it off. Some people have business ideas. Some people have ideas about writing their own book. Some people have ideas about starting off their NGO. Some people have ideas about doing so many things, But I've seen 8% of the world. I mean, that might be a huge statistic, but that's true that a large part of the world does not really start off their ideas, for a very long time, and reasons are very, very simple. They have some fear. Either they fear failure, they're just not able to put the perspective right, they don't take action, and all of these things. But if you really ask me what is the simplest way you could kickstart an idea and turn it into something tangible, I have a simplified version for myself. What I did, the first thing that you need, I thought to myself, so I wanted to start my own company, and I asked myself, what is it going to do? So I answered that question and I said, I'm going to inspire the people through my speeches and through the speeches of another good set of speakers that I have along with me, and I'm going to do that. So then I asked myself, what is that ideal name to my company? And then this next simple question that I had to myself was, what is it that I believe is the most core philosophy of my company, or what is the strong statement that each of my speeches have made? So a lot of people would come back to me after 3 years or 5 years of my speeches and come back and say, those 2 hours changed my life. And I would be like, wow, I never heard people say that 2 hours can change life. I mean, if that's true that somebody is coming 5 years later and acknowledging that fact, that seems to be an inspiration that lasted for 5 years. And that means that's unlimited, because in a scenario where everything is temporary, where everything just goes off the mind in no time because we have information overdose, this guy cared to keep my words for 5 years in his mind, and I came back to me and acknowledged that, and I said, this is unlimited inspiration. So I named my company Inspiration Unlimited. So I've got a name. Now I need a logo. Now I decided to myself that I'm never going to lose a lot of time designing logos, because I've heard a lot of companies and a lot of big brands rebrand themselves. I mean, come on. I mean, they spend millions of dollars rebranding themselves at times. Sometimes they change their logo, sometimes they change their color combinations, sometimes they change their complete branding approach. So I told myself, if I had to start a project or an idea or a business, I'm never going to lose too much time designing logos. And then I got my logo in. And I discussed with a few people who were really important to me, and I said, do you like this? And they were like, yeah, wow, this is so cool. And I said, wow, boom, we have the name, we've got the logo, and now what else? We know what our company does, we know what we do best, and we started off. Now, who's our client? I mean, we narrowed down on our target market. We narrowed down to the resources we have. So if I have to really say, how do you start off your idea, or when can you really start off your idea? Figure out what are the resources you need, figure out what are the challenges you have, who are your target audience, nail it down with your name, thought process of what you're going to do, why you're going to do, most important, why you're going to do what you're going to do. Bring it down together, and trust me, your idea can be a reality from the moment go, and that moment go is now. If you're listening to this hangout and you really are looking at starting off your own idea and truly want to believe my words that they've got power, sit down for 30 minutes, decide what is it that you've been waiting for, put down the list of resources that you might need for that, put down the idea that you have that you're going to work for, write down why you're going to do what you're going to do, who's your target market, who's the audience you're going to cater, what is it that you're going to consistently do with that idea, and you truly have it going. The first step to starting off something is to bring down the name, and identity is very powerful. Trust me, it was a project that I had on my mind. I saw a lot of underprivileged kids around the world not getting quality education. And I had this idea that a lot of youth around the world has a lot of time that's otherwise going a waste. And they have a lot of knowledge that these underprivileged kids around the world in developing countries or underdeveloped nations do not have. So I thought, how about bridging the time and knowledge of the youth and the unavailability of knowledge and know-how or skilled people to train these underprivileged kids? And I said, this could be a project, potential project, youth to children. And I'm proud today, I just named it Youth to Children. That's it. Because the youth is essentially going to go to the children and coach them, empower them, educate them, inspire them. And today the project has successfully inspired and impacted more than 2.5 million underprivileged kids in India, Nepal, and surrounding nations. And that's
Wow.
what makes me proud. Had I not named the project, had I not kick-started it, it wouldn't have come this far. Another example I would like to mention, I wanted to start an e-magazine, right? Or rather, I wanted to start a media platform which could actually talk only positive stuff. Because me and my brother had an argument that there's nothing around the world that speaks only positive and, not really talk of murder, crime, rape, all of these things, And then we nailed down and we decided, that we hadn't frequently come across a newspaper or a media platform that was only talking positive. And then I said, okay, I want to start this. I asked myself, do I have the resources to start a newspaper? And my answer was no. I did not have that much of money 40 years ago that I could invest and start a newspaper. I didn't have the expertise for it. Now then I asked myself, what do I have? Okay, I have got a few writers who could write something really positive and inspiring. Okay, I have an audience that I could share it with. Okay, I know it right. I have a name for it, Inspiration Unlimited. That's right. Now I have somebody with me. There was my friend Shruti who was developing, a lot of websites for me, and she was along with me, and there was Bharat with me who was kind of ready to market the whole thing. And I was like, okay, I have people who will be help me bring this idea to reality, and I started it as a box sign up for newsletter 4 years ago on my website, and I said, this is it. Tonight we are starting off the e-magazine. And why is it e-magazine? Because e-magazine costed me the least. Right? I could just bring along the writers together, and I could publish content online, and I could reach a large part of the world because my objective was clear. I wanted to reach a large part of the world with a lot of positive inspiration. My understanding was clear that I did not have great assets to invest on. And when I had these things clear and my purpose was clear, the only thing that could have stopped me was saying, let's go right now. And I told my friends, we are going now. We're not going to wait. And the very next day, the newsletter box was up. 3 months, we started feeling that's too old. We had a new site, and today it caters to thousands and thousands of people around the world. So if you have an idea, sit down today and say, I will start now. Put it down together, figure out a mentor, and you will be going on it right from tomorrow. And I promise you, in 90 days, you will have something very tangible. So
Wow. So
Matt, over to you.
you just dropped some knowledge there, my friend. Okay, so let me see if I can really bring this in, because that was
Okay.
amazing, first and foremost. So most importantly, the time to do anything is now, what you were saying. And a lot of us, we get in this fear-based mentality of not doing things because we're overanalyzing or we're overcomplicating things. So getting back to the idea of simplicity is really you need to come down with what's your identity, creating a name, having
Correct.
what your mission is that drives the heartbeat and the pulse of what you're doing, and how you're going to add
Correct.
value to what your avatar is, or for people that don't know what your avatar is who's your ideal client or your audience.
Correct.
And then you need to figure out, okay, what resources do I need in order to overcome some of the challenges that I might face along this path? So that was, basically what I'm getting from it at the end of the day is really don't overcomplicate it, narrow it down, gain clarity through simplicity, and take action.
And one more thing to add, start small. You don't have to start big. A lot of
Right.
us, are pressurized that we want to make it big and we want to start big. It's never going to happen. You're going to start small. You're going to start small. You're going to start small. I repeated it thrice for everybody, and that's it. That's the story. Start small. You're going to grow big, but start small.
Love it. So tell me a little bit more then about, with all the different things that you have going on in your life with, projects, companies, ideas, being a husband, just life in general, what's
Thank
your
you.
secret to simplification of, a complex structure like that? I mean, there's a lot of things on your plate, and at the end of the day, everybody has an over complex life. At least we like to think we do.
We
And a
do.
lot of the times we mistake being busy for being productive. So
Correct.
when you're being effective in those spaces, whether it's being present for your wife or being present in your businesses or whatever it may be, how are you staying mindful about keeping simple and keeping real productive?
All right. Yes. So I think that's a brilliant question. This morning, out here and in this evening down there. I think people are really going to enjoy this. When I initially started off a lot of projects and a lot of different initiatives, I put down my ideas together. About 4 years ago, a lot of people complained that I'm taking too much on my plate and I wouldn't be able to handle it. And everybody who seems to be knowing me for 4 years now, kind of confirms to this that wow, this was seamless management. How did you just do it? How did it just all happen for you? The book happened for you, the poetry book happened for you, the companies happened for you, the growth happened for you, the NGOs happened for you. How did it all happen? And I would like to bring to this, bring to the notice to everyone probably who's watching this and who is going to watch this in future, that nothing really happens. You go out there and make it happen. There was a beautiful, powerful line that I once read, which said, "Do not prioritize your schedule, schedule your priorities." And that kind of went really deep in me, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I'm not gonna schedule myself. I'm not going to prioritize my schedule. I'm not going to be really worried about my to-do list alone. I'm not going to be really worried about I'm going to get here at 4, I'm going to get here at 5. I'm rather going to make sure that I'll schedule my priorities right. I know I got to attend my wife. I know I'm going to attend my family. I know I'm going to attend my businesses, my projects, but everything has its own sweet time, and we must know our role way too clear. Sometimes we tend to think, like you really said, Matt, when we're busy, we're really productive. That's really not the case. Right? Sometimes we tend to have a feeling if you've really given something a lot of time, that's when it's going to really grow. Sometimes, sad but true, the world is so beautiful. Once I would like to bring this incident into notice from my life. I 4 years ago was diagnosed of acute laryngitis in my throat, and my doctor said that I must not give very, very energetic speeches anymore.
Uh-oh,
And
that's not good for you.
that's so good for me. And I was advised then, because of bad condition of my throat, to be on voice rest. I mean, complete voice rest for 7 days. And in those 7 days, I realized something very big. Earlier, when there would be an argument in the family or probably a discussion in the company, I would so much like to involve, give my opinion, and share my words, and get anxious where they might go wrong if I did not share my opinion. And in those 7 days, when I was in voice rest, I had no option but to shut my mouth. And I saw everything that I once was anxious about that would not go right was actually going right. And I learned a big lesson in my life that sometimes without your involvement, things do seem to grow well. And if you have the right people doing it, it's all going to go well. And even if they go wrong, they're going to learn their lessons by it and only going to get stronger, which is what brought me to connect with a lot of people and hand over a lot of responsibilities to them, believing in them that it's okay even if they did go wrong. Of course, I've had a lot of people go right a lot of time, and I've met a lot of people go wrong as well. But I really believe in a very, very big philosophy, which I think empowered me a lot. That not we don't go wrong, we just go less right. Right
Mhm.
and wrong is so subjective, and it's a matter of perspective. That I told myself, if it is a matter of perspective, then let me redefine it for my life. I'm gonna say you don't go wrong, you go less right. And that keeps your morale high, that keeps you going, that gives you a challenge to get better each day. So I told my people, it's okay, you were less right yesterday, you can be more right today. And now each day they're busy getting more right. And that's how I relied for a lot of things on a lot of people. And of course, that brought me two challenges. Sometimes when people did not perform to my expectations, great, it's okay. Sometimes they do, things do happen, which is why if you put all your eggs in one basket, you're rather going to be very worried about that basket and what would happen to the eggs if that basket, faced an obstacle or kind of perished or had, a jolt, or, probably it was, you dropped it. But that's not how it works when you have your eggs in a few extra baskets. So that one is going to perform and one is not, right? But at the end of the day, that's life. I mean, you eat 3 meals a day. It starts from there. You don't just rely on 1 meal a day. I mean, you do 3 meals a day. Why? I mean, you got to keep yourself fit. You got to keep taking small bits at regular intervals. So this is exactly where it narrowed down for me, that if I have my priorities and I schedule them right, if I trust people and believe in them and empower them, that it's okay to make mistakes and we all grow. If I can plan it well for them and allow them to then experience their journey in their ways of growth, I think I will really, really do justice. And if I can accept that I'm not the most important guy all the time, and I don't need to be in full control all the time, and I can let go sometimes, I think I'm going to do more justice to my life. And that's what really helped me do justice. Not wanting to be in full control actually bought full control for me. And that surprises me today. So, Matt, if you really ask me, it's simple. If you do not complicate and if you do not keep assuming that you're the most important person in control, if you do not distrust people, though they will sometimes betray you, sometimes not keep up to your expectations, you still gotta trust new people and you still gotta keep walking. If you can do these three things and know that no one else is gonna come down and schedule your priorities for you, you gotta know them well and you gotta do it yourself. I think that's the simplest formula for a very successful life.
I want to commend you, my friend, because that is honestly some true characteristics of leadership right there. And you hit
Thank
on a
you.
lot of great things. But being productive, when you're talking about your priorities, is it's not always about getting more things done. It's about getting the right things done.
Right things done.
And when I think back to the study of the 80-20 rule, if you're
Correct.
familiar with that, it's Vilfredo
Yes.
Pareto's 80-20 rule,
Correct.
and basically, approximately 80% of our results come from just 20% of our
20% of
effort.
the. Very true.
And so it's one of those things where if you've read, The One Thing or the book Essentialism, these are two great books on one, productivity, and really simplification, is focusing on maybe what your one thing is in a specific category, that if you did that one thing, everything else behind it, when you knock that one domino over, becomes effortless or much easier. And
Correct.
so you talked about, one thing that really kind of spurred a thought in my mind is, when many of us are people pleasers, or we do want to have our hands in so many different pots, and it's natural by nature for a lot of people to want to do these things, and it's
Yeah.
been something I've struggled with, and on my journey of being more productive and simplifying my own life and feeling more balance, is getting better at saying no. And there's always been this theme of, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Jim Carrey and Yes Man. He said yes to everything, but really he never did anything at 100%. And
Correct.
so, with all the different opportunities, especially for all the talented people we have in our community, is you are going to have opportunities. You are going to have different things put in your path and on your plate that a lot of the times you'll want to say yes to, but is it really in alignment with where you're going and what you really want to do with yourself? And so my question to you is really, how do you gracefully say no to things, and how do you analyze whether you should say no to them or not?
So here it is. So I think this is not something I haven't suffered with. I did, being someone who wanted to please people, or rather, make them happy. We all want to do something good for people around us. We all wanted to make people happy. We all want to say yes to people because we know it's going to make them happy. And eventually, you end up meeting some ungrateful people at times. I mean, I don't blame them. But then when they're not grateful, that's when you learn your lesson the hard way, that you gotta say no sometimes. To someone who's probably ungrateful, but that's not the key. As you grow up, you do realize that it's not just because somebody's going to be ungrateful that you say no. If somebody's going to be really grateful, that doesn't mean you say yes. So like you said, how do we really get to know when to say yes and when to say no? Let me be honest, for quite some time there was a struggle for me itself, and I realized three or four things about it. I kind of correlated that to a journey on a highway, or a journey that we really do. I drive a lot, so I've driven kind of 100,000 kilometers in like last 4 or 5 years on my car. So while I do these drives, I know some are meant to be very long drives, some are meant to be short drives, some are meant to be detours. Sometimes I lose my way. Sometimes I find my way in a shorter route than I ever imagined. So I think life is, very similar to that. Sometimes when you're working with people and you've just said yes, you're going to figure out a shorter route. Sometimes when you've said yes for a very nasty thing that you really don't want to do, you're going to see a longer route and you're going to be really worried. You won't like the route, but you still know to get to the destination, you must go through this part of the route as well, right? So it's a very very spoken about thing that you must learn to say no. But I would like to add two things around it. Number one, don't just say no to things because you want to practice saying no. You would rather practice saying yes and do things well and then learn what to say no to eventually, than to practice saying no because you want to practice saying no. I've met a lot of people who say no to opportunities that could have drastically transformed their life, but then they have this joy of they could at least say no. I mean, you missed $1 million fortune for your company, for your organization, for your people, for everybody around you, just because you didn't like something and you put it in the box that I know how to say no. No, that's not how it works. You got to say yes to a lot of opportunities. And how do you judge it? You judge it this way. Is it going to be a short-term thing for me? Is it going to be a long-term thing for me? Is it going to align with everything that I really already do? Is it not going to align with the things I really do? So now you have a simple algorithm. Is it going to align with things I already do, or is it not going to align with things I do? If it's going to align, great. If it's going to really align, then why would I say no? I would rather say yes, because if this hangout already aligns with the purpose of my life, I would rather say yes. But then the question to me is, if it's going to align, in what ways is it going to align? What is the result it's going to bear? And how am I going to leverage on it, for something? So when you said the proposed topic for this, a hangout is Life Simplified, I believe that it's going to simplify a lot more lives this morning, and it aligns the purpose of my life. And if it's going to be a hangout, I could just do it anywhere around the world, and I could meet a lot of people online and actually simplify their lives. I would rather believe in saying yes, and that's my decision making. So if I rather would say no to this, then my question would be, then what else would I say yes to?
Right.
If I'm saying no to this, what is it that I would say yes to? Right? So if you got to evaluate opportunities, you got to see, are they short term for you? Are they long term for you? So sometimes I was in conversation with Sir Chris Arnold, and he runs this organization called World Merit, and he was talking to me, and he said, Sujit, we could build the community like this around the world. And he offered me that if we could work together, and I had no reason to say no, because I'm always on the lookout to build great networks, surround myself with people who are amazing, as much as Sir Chris Arnold, and be a part of causes that are really global in their own ways. And I knew that aligns with the other opportunities I already work with, or with the other arenas where I already work with. So my evaluation that it will align. So a lot of times we do think that an opportunity aligns, but it only unfolds in its own journey, that whether it will actually completely end up aligning or not, right? So
Right.
if you are gonna overthink or overdo the thinking part of analyzing, is it the right opportunity for me, you're a lot of times going to miss out the essentials of lessons that you're going to actually get on the journey. So my advice to beginners, say yes for a lot of opportunities that seem to be in sync with the purpose you're actually working for. Go all out and head out. The experiences of not doing something to the 100% are going to teach you which are those things that you could have rather done 80% and done the other 20% through somebody else. And the other things that you're able to do 100% are going to teach you that they are the things you could do 100%. So last but not the least, somebody asked me, so how many commitments do I make? And I said, if you make 10 and fulfill 9 and fail at 1, your failure percentage is 10. If you commit 100, you're going to succeed at 90, but you're going to fail at 10. So the number of things you fail at is 10, as against the number of things you earlier failed that was 1. Might look big because one failure has the capacity to cloud 10 successes. And we must not allow that to do. Right? That should not happen to us. So make more commitments and fail more often. That's the key to learning how to say no eventually.
I love that. Fail forward, fail forward. That's great. And you brought up a great point, is you don't want to just say no to say no. On the contrary, the right no at the right time can change the course of your life too. It can really save you from a lot of stress and strife and time wasted. But you also don't want to just say no because you feel like it may or may not be in alignment. You really have to check in with yourself, check in with your core, check in with the direction that you're going in your life, and making sure that it's going to elevate you in that journey. So I love that. I mean, and the one thing that I look about, and this is just a tip that I kind of utilize when I'm analyzing, whether to say no or yes, is a lot of the times if I'm checking in with myself and it really isn't a clear yes, then to me it's a clear no. And and you have to have a criteria though, mind you. So it's not just, oh no, I'm thinking about it. That means it's got to be a no. You have to have some kind of milestones and criteria to judge whether it's a clear yes. And if it's not a clear yes, then it's a clear no. And be okay with making that no. But that saved me from, because I am a people pleaser and I love human interaction and connection with people. Wow. And like you, I mean, that's one thing you and I've connected on, is we love building networks, adding value to people. But a lot of the times that takes away from everybody's natural ability to do more and have a larger ripple effect if you were to focus on the areas that are in true alignment with your strength zone and your passion. So
So
that's just
I
one
would like to
thing.
add. I would like to add here.
Yeah.
So how do you sometimes figure out that you've said yes to something wrong and you said no to something right? So that's one thing I would like to add. So I really believe in this very strong principle that I've followed. If something consistently isn't giving me joy or an inner pleasure or a feeling to my intuitive self that this is right for quite some time, I know that I'm on the path that is de-energizing me and lowering my energy levels. So if you next time find yourself, anybody for that matter who's listening to this hangout, find yourself consistently into lowered energy levels because of an activity or a pursuit that you're pursuing, you better know that that's something you would have wanted to say no to, or there's a factor in and around that opportunity that is not allowing you to be at your best energy levels. So energy levels for me have become a big check to knowing, do I say no or do I say yes? If it does not energize me, if it does not elevate me, if it is not making me feel positive for a longer stretch than normal, I know it's something that I wouldn't want to be engaging myself in, or it's a person I wouldn't want to be working with, because you have a very short life and you do not want to end up working with people you really don't want to work with. Right? You gotta make choices. You do not want to de-energize yourself and underachieve all your purposes of life because you said yes to those people who de-energized you. You are gonna end up doing that. Life is a sum total of real truths, right? And you're gonna end up saying yes to people who are gonna put you down on your energy just because they're gonna sap everything out of you. It's gonna happen. It does happen. It's happened with me. It's happened with you. It's gonna happen with everybody. But
Right.
just know those are the journeys that will teach you how to figure out your energy level the next time you're around somebody who's putting you down on energy levels. Just nicely say, it was great working with you. I'll meet you again. I'm headed up. I'm not going to show up. I can't do this. Sometimes it's good to say I'm incapable when somebody does not want to realize that, they want to use your capacity far too much, and you're going to de-energize yourself. It's okay to say I'm incapable because you're going to show up with your capability some other place where you really want to show it up. So it's about, like you said, Matt, for people pleasers, it's about saying no well, but sometimes you got to be blunt too, and it's a part and parcel of life. But the easiest check is an energy level check. If you're going down in your energy, you know you're not going to be there.
I love it. That's a great point. Always checking in with your core and making sure your gut will tell you. And a lot of the times, don't always listen to your gut, because when we hear things, we don't always obey what we should do. So I always say, listening to your gut is one thing, obey your gut. Your gut tells you what the right thing to do
Brilliant,
is.
brilliant,
So
brilliant.
as
I love
we
that.
come into our final stretch of the first year, and this has been great, Sujit. I love talking with you, love masterminding with you. You always add value to my life, so I want to thank you. We're going to come
Oh, thank you
into a
too.
few minute rapid fire questions. Do you have any frequent resources that you tap into, whether it's a book, a social media site, that helps give you clarity on simplification?
I think "Follow Your Heart" by Andrew Matthews is a book that I've been very closely, attached with. And each time I know my life isn't going right, I just open that book. I kind of find my answers, each time in that book. But I have a huge, collection of books, and I must not deny that. And that's the source of my knowledge. So I'm a true believer of lot of reading, as against being a non-reader about 10 years ago. I changed into being a very strong reader, and I'm a big believer that readers become leaders, and leaders are true readers. So you gotta read a lot. And on the internet, I think, I really believe, that. Reading anything and everything that's productively gonna, make my mind richer in knowledge or make me more productive. I think I just follow every single website or any article that I can come across, or any link I could come across that could add value. I'm okay with it, but I don't have any particular resources online. But offline, I believe in books, and they will really help you. Follow Your Heart by Andrew Matthews. That's the book you're going to buy.
I'm writing it down, and I'll add two more to that, which are right in line with this conversation of simplification and really increased productivity, which at the end of the day gives us more joy and happiness, is Essentialism and The One Thing. And those were two
Wow.
great books that really helped me gain clarity on what my big rocks are in my life, have not only enhanced my productivity, have taken more off of my plate, to spend really the time that I desire to spend in the passion places that I absolutely love and, like Sujit said, feel energized by. So as I lead into the last question, Actually, I got two more for you. I'm going to keep them short and sweet.
Go ahead.
What is one challenge that you're currently facing today in your businesses?
So I have a lot of ideas that I could propel at the speed I wanted to, but finding the right people who will tune in to the frequency of operation that I would want them to tune in. So it's about finding people who will connect with the vision you have at the same plane as you want them to connect.
I love it. And the last one in line with kicking the year off right is, what are you most excited about this year, man? What are you doing? What's going on in your world, and what are you excited to accomplish this year?
I'm excited to see the magazine just go all over the place across the globe. We've got partnerships from 23 countries,
Wow.
on our magazine already, and I want to see the whole of the world map pinpointed with all of those sticky notes in my room out there, where we have partnerships from every single part of the world. And I'm really excited to cast a spell of unlimited inspiration globally and see all of the ideas that we've put in place as seeds in the last 4 years take a global shape really in 2016.
I love it. Okay, I lied. I'm going to do one more question just because I love
Yeah.
tapping into the brain of Sujit. If you guys are okay with that, hang tight with me. We are really interested in morning routines right now. What does your morning routine look like in under 2 minutes?
To be honest, for me, I'm a different person compared to a morning routine. So I'm a late nighter. So I believe in putting down to sleep at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and then wake up a little late, and then I do my breakfast very strong. That's one thing for me, and I read something very positive for the first 20 minutes of the day. Unless I do a lot of reading and putting my brain up with so much of positive, energized content, and then read 10 to 20 minutes of news, which is global, what's happening on the business world around the world. So that's what my morning rise up looks like. But then I'm not an early morning guy, so I'm a late nighter. I sleep quite late, and I believe in my schedule because it's paid off for me for the last 10 years. And I really advise people waking up early in the morning, but I think I myself personally haven't been able to really put myself, and I don't force myself to it now because I've realized that that's the highest time, productivity level I reach, between 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. at times. So that works good for me. So on my advice, whatever works best for anyone, I think you will sooner or later realize that's what works best for you. But in any case, when you start your day, make sure you start it with something really positive, very strong, in alignment with the visions and beliefs you have. And of course, do not start, without reading stuff in and around the things that you really do. So business aligns a lot with me. Global business development is something I do read right in the morning, first thing.
I love it. The Night Owl Sujit. I love it. I love it. Well, I want to finish this up by letting people know, how can we connect with you? I mean, you're all the way across the world, but our friendship has developed and furthered through social media. How can others stay in tune with what you're doing, all of the causes and amazing ventures that you continue to grow and spread across the universe?
So it's quite easy. I've been active on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I've got a page which got about 13,000 odd followers. So that's the legit page. Anyone around the world could actually follow that and connect with me on that page. For the company's Inspiration Unlimited, that's the name of the brand. So any of the pages that are around Inspiration Unlimited are welcome to connect. So you could just say, Sujit Lalwani on Facebook, and you will find my page, and I would love to connect to you from there.
Awesome. So we will make sure to do one more tag with Sujit in the community. He's also very active, and you'll see much inspiration from this guy moving forward. Sujit, I want to honestly thank you, my friend, for taking the time out of your morning.
You, man. Thank you so much.
You have energized me as always, and grateful to call you a friend, and I'm so thankful that someone like you has blessed the One Life community and my life personally. You continue to make the world a better place, and we are grateful to have you, my friend. So cheers to you, and I want to wish everybody in our One Life community an amazing kickoff to your new year. Keep an eye out for our One Life podcast information that'll be coming out to you guys here shortly. I hope everybody has a great evening here in the U.S. and an amazing morning and day overseas. Wish you all the best. Have an amazing 2016.
Thank you so much, everybody, and wish you the best of 2016. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, One Life, for hosting it all so well. Thank you.
You bet, my friend. Take care.
Take care.